And the next sign? That one's all about instinctive care, those tiny protective gestures people do without even thinking about it, and you'll notice them if you're paying attention. The third sign is almost invisible if you're not paying attention, but it says a lot about someone's genuine feelings, the little ways they protect you without even realizing it. These aren't grand gestures or dramatic hero moves. It's not about stepping in to fight someone or rescuing you from danger. It's subtle, natural, instinctive. For example, walking on the outside of the sidewalk so you're shielded from traffic or other risks, checking that you got home safely after leaving a hangout, making sure you're not left out in a group conversation, adjusting their pace so you're comfortable walking together, noticing small signs of discomfort and quietly doing something about it. These gestures aren't calculated. They don't come with fanfare or commentary. They're instinctive, and that's what makes them so revealing. Pretenders, they don't notice. Or if they do, they don't act unless there's some benefit for them. Their attention is selective, only when it's socially expected or convenient. People who genuinely like you, on the other hand, instinctively protect you in small ways because it matters to them. They want you to feel safe, comfortable, and cared for. And they do it without making a scene. The fascinating part is that these protective behaviors are often unconscious. Even the person doing them might not realize it. It's not something they're trying to show you. It just comes naturally, because they value you. Once you start noticing these subtle protective gestures, you'll see patterns that reveal genuine interest. The little things, the tiny, almost invisible acts of care, often say more than words ever could. The fourth sign is all about curiosity, real, genuine curiosity. People who actually like you want to know you, not just what connects to them, not just what gives them a chance to one-up or impress, but you. They ask questions that matter. They follow up. They remember what you said last time. They're not just being polite, they're paying attention. Here's the difference you'll notice. Someone who likes you asks questions and actually waits for your answer. They don't immediately turn it back to themselves. They follow the thread of your story. If you mention something important or exciting, they dive in, ask details, or show curiosity. They let you be the center of the conversation for a moment. They don't need to hijack the spotlight. Pretenders, by contrast, often act like they're listening, but they're just waiting for the right moment to pivot back to themselves. Every story you share becomes a setup for their own story, every detail an opportunity to redirect attention. The conversation ends up feeling like a series of polite exchanges rather than genuine connection. Real interest, however, is selfless. It's not about impressing you or proving a point. It's about truly understanding you. It's about creating a space where you feel seen and heard, without competition, without distraction. And here's the subtle beauty. This sign is often paired with others on our list. When someone genuinely asks about your life, follows through on promises, and shows protective behaviors, it all forms a pattern, and that pattern tells you more than any single moment ever could. The fifth sign is subtle, almost like a whisper rather than a shout. But it's one of the most revealing indicators of genuine interest. People who like you often act a little differently around you than they do around anyone else. It's not dramatic. It's not over the top. It's small, unconscious shifts in tone, behavior, or energy that set you apart. Here's what to look for. Their tone might soften slightly, just for you. They show more patience, more attentiveness, more warmth than they do with others. Their jokes might get a little more playful, or their teasing just slightly gentler. Their energy feels tuned in to yours. They laugh a bit more, lean in slightly, or slow down to match your pace. These changes aren't calculated or forced, they're instinctive. They happen because they genuinely enjoy your presence and want to show it, even if they're not aware of it. Pretenders, on the other hand, treat everyone the same. Their behavior is uniform, surface level, and predictable. You won't notice any subtle differences because their interest isn't selective, it's performative. This sign is powerful because it reveals that you occupy a unique place in their world. You're not just another person in the room. Their attention, energy, and behavior shift naturally, effortlessly, when you're around. And the next sign? It's about the words they choose, how their compliments tell you whether they're actually paying attention or just saying what sounds safe. You ever walk away from someone and think, wait, did they actually like me? Or were they just being polite? It's confusing, right? Because people can fake smiles, polite laughs, even enthusiasm. But there are tiny cracks in the act that always give the truth away. Today, we're breaking down 5 subtle signs that show you exactly who's genuinely into you and who's just performing friendliness. And trust me, once you see these, you can't unsee them. Let's start with something almost no one pays attention to. This first sign is one of the most revealing and one of the easiest to overlook. Most people judge interest based on how someone acts when you're talking, but the real truth shows up when you stop. Because here's what happens with someone who genuinely likes you. The connection doesn't suddenly go cold when your energy drops for a moment. The vibe doesn't disappear the second you take a breath or pause your momentum. It stays alive, naturally, effortlessly, without you pushing it forward. Think about this. Anyone can look engaged when you're entertaining them. Anyone can nod along when you're being interesting. Anyone can play friendly when you're carrying the entire conversation on your back. Pretenders rely on your energy to keep the interaction alive. You stop, everything stops. It's like pulling the plug out of a lamp. The light just goes out. They won't ask follow-up questions. They won't build on what you just said. They won't add new layers to the conversation. They just sit there waiting for you to start the show again. And that's the difference. Real interest brings its own energy. If they genuinely enjoy you, you don't have to be on for them to stay engaged. You can relax, and the connection doesn't fall apart. Maybe you go quiet for a second to think. They step in naturally. Maybe you get distracted. They pick up where you left off. Maybe you're tired, low energy, or not performing. They still show up fully. The conversation has balance. It's two-sided. It flows without you forcing anything. And here's where it gets even more real. People who like you want moments of silence with you. They're not uncomfortable. They don't panic. They don't rush to fill every empty second. They treat silence like connection, not like a problem. Pretenders can't do that. Their interest collapses without stimulation. Their engagement is conditional. Their attention is temporary. Someone who genuinely likes you keeps the connection alive even when you're quiet, because their interest doesn't depend on your performance. It depends on you. And once you start watching this sign, you'll realize how much of a difference it makes. It's the first crack in the mask that reveals whether someone is truly into you or just playing polite. The second sign is one of the clearest ways to see if someone genuinely likes you. And honestly, it's often the most overlooked. Because here's the truth. Anyone can say the right thing. Anyone can nod, smile, or promise. Anyone can agree to plans in the moment when it feels convenient. But following through? That's the real test. That's action over words. That's proof that someone actually cares. Think about it like this. Did they say they'd send you something, like a link, a document, or a small favor, and actually do it without you chasing them? Did they offer to help, even in small ways, and remembered to follow through? Did they promise to check in, meet up, or show support, and actually did it, even when it wasn't convenient for them? These small things might seem minor, but they're huge indicators of genuine interest. Why? Because doing them requires effort, and effort is the currency of care. People who like you don't just say, "I'll do it." They actually do it. Not to impress you, not because they're trying to prove something, but because they want to. Pretenders, by contrast, often fail this test. They'll say yes, nod along, or make polite promises. But when the time comes to deliver, they conveniently forget, postpone, or rely on you forgetting first. Their interest exists in words, not in action. And it's the difference between performing kindness and living it. Another way to notice this sign is by tracking patterns. It's not just one time they forget. It's the repeated behavior that tells you whether they're actually invested. If someone consistently follows through, even on small, seemingly insignificant things, it's a strong signal that they value you. If they consistently drop the ball, it's a warning that their words are just words. And here's the subtle part. This sign isn't flashy or dramatic. It's quiet, almost invisible, but it speaks volumes. Because actions always speak louder than words. Once you start paying attention to follow through, the small gestures, the tiny promises kept, you'll start seeing who actually cares and who's just playing a polite role. The sixth sign is all about attention to detail, the kind of attention that can't be faked for long. People who genuinely like you don't give generic, surface-level compliments like, "You look nice," "You're smart." They're easy, safe, and forgettable. Instead, their compliments are specific, personal, thoughtful. For example, "That color really suits you. It brings out your eyes. The way you explained that was sharp. I wouldn't have thought of it like that. I noticed how patient you were in that situation. That was impressive." These aren't compliments they hand out to everyone. They're observations that show they were actually paying attention. They remembered something about you, your style, your actions, or your personality, and they called it out genuinely. Pretenders, on the other hand, stay safe. Their compliments are vague, recycled, or something they think is expected. They sound nice on the surface but leave no impression. Personal compliments are powerful because they reveal that someone's mind was actually on you, noticing, processing, valuing. It's not about being smooth or flattering, it's about being attentive and genuinely interested. And the final sign? It ties everything together, showing whether someone truly values your thoughts and presence or just tolerates your attention. The seventh and final sign is subtle, but it's one of the most important, and one that most people completely overlook. Anyone can give you time. They can sit with you, reply to your messages, or hang out. That's easy. That doesn't prove interest. What shows genuine liking is space. People who truly like you make room for your thoughts, ideas, and feelings. They don't just let you talk. They make sure you have the room to speak, uninterrupted. They listen without planning their own response in the back of their head. They allow you to fully express yourself without rushing, redirecting, or overshadowing you. Notice how they respond when you share something personal or important. They don't interrupt. They don't pivot to their own stories. They actually hold space for what you're saying, letting it matter in the moment. Pretenders, by contrast, might give you time. They'll nod or respond politely, but they don't truly create space. Your thoughts exist alongside theirs, not in their focus. It's surface-level listening, not real engagement. This sign matters because it shows the depth of their interest. Genuine liking isn't about convenience. It's about valuing you enough to give you more than just attention. It's about giving you presence. And when you combine this with the other 6 signs, their energy, follow-through, protective behaviors, curiosity, unique attention, and personal compliments, a clear pattern emerges. You start to see who actually likes you, who truly values you, and who's just playing polite. Once you notice these 7 signs, you won't just wonder about people's intentions anymore. You'll see them clearly. But what if someone shows some of the signs, but not all? Here's the tricky part. Human behavior isn't perfect. Not everyone will check off all 7 signs, even if they genuinely like you. So what do you do when someone shows some of the signs, but not all of them? Step 1. Look at the overall pattern, not individual moments. Genuine interest isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. If someone keeps the connection going, follows through most of the time, asks about your life, and makes space for you but maybe misses 1 or 2 signs occasionally, that doesn't mean they're a pretender. Life is messy, people get distracted, and everyone has off days. Step 2. Pay attention to effort over time. Real interest shows in patterns, not just one conversation or interaction. Do they usually show care, follow through, and protect your energy? Or are the moments of connection rare and unpredictable? Effort over time is the true marker. Step 3. Consider their circumstances. Sometimes people are genuinely interested, but have stress, mental health challenges, or life circumstances that make some signs harder to see. Missing a follow-through or failing to notice a small detail once in a while doesn't automatically mean they don't care. Context matters. Step 4. Communicate when needed. If you notice gaps that concern you, it's okay to gently clarify expectations or check in. Real connections allow room for honest conversations. Pretenders, on the other hand, usually avoid or deflect these moments. Step 5. Trust your instincts and patterns. Even when someone shows most of the signs, your intuition is still a guide. Pay attention to how the interactions feel overall, energizing, consistent, and reciprocal, or draining, inconsistent, and one-sided. The overall feeling combined with patterns is more reliable than any single missing sign. The key takeaway? No one is perfect, and genuine liking can still exist, even if some signs aren't obvious all the time. What matters is the overall effort, consistency, and intention behind their actions. Let's be honest. Once you start noticing the 7 subtle signs of genuine interest, you'll also start spotting the people who aren't really invested, the pretenders. These are the people who smile, nod, and act friendly, but their actions tell a very different story. So how do you handle them? How do you protect yourself while staying kind and grounded? Let's break it down, step by step. Step 1. Recognize the pattern. The first thing you need to do is see it clearly. Pretenders rarely fail all the signs at once. They might follow some signs occasionally, reply to your messages sometimes, say the right words, even act interested for short bursts. But patterns always reveal the truth. Over time, you start noticing they don't keep the connection alive when you pause in conversation. They forget small promises or details about your life. Their compliments feel generic and surface level. They rarely make space for you to talk or prioritize your thoughts. It's not about one isolated incident. It's about repeated behaviors over weeks or months. When you start spotting these patterns, it becomes much easier to distinguish genuine interest from polite pretending. Step 2. Adjust your energy. Pretenders often thrive because you're carrying all the energy in the relationship. You're the one keeping the conversation alive, making plans and showing interest. When you finally pause, their lack of investment becomes obvious. Here's what to do. Pull back slightly. Don't be the first to initiate every interaction. Give silence a chance in conversations. See if they step in naturally or let the moment die. Notice if they make an effort to reach out when you don't, or if the interaction only continues when you supply the energy. This isn't a game or a test. It's a way to see who is genuinely invested versus who relies on your effort to maintain the connection. Step 3. Set boundaries. Pretenders can drain your emotional energy if you let them. Boundaries aren't about confrontation or drama. They're about protecting yourself. Limit how much you invest when it's not reciprocated. Don't always go out of your way to accommodate them. Don't chase someone who consistently fails to follow through. Setting boundaries keeps you from being taken for granted and ensures your energy is reserved for people who actually value it. Step 4. Don't overthink or overanalyze. Pretenders are confusing, and it's tempting to overanalyze every interaction, trying to decode them. Stop. Focus on the patterns rather than single moments. One nice gesture doesn't erase months of inconsistent behavior. Accept that not everyone will be capable of genuine interest, and that's not your problem. Stop trying to fix them or convince them to care. It won't work and only leaves you frustrated. Your energy is finite. Protect it. Use it where it's appreciated, not wasted on guessing intentions. Step 5. Trust your instincts. Your gut is usually more accurate than your overthinking mind. If something feels off, pay attention. Notice how interactions make you feel. Do you leave feeling drained, unsure, or anxious? Combine your instincts with the 7 behavioral signs. Mismatched words and actions, inconsistent attention, lack of follow-through. Don't ignore those subtle red flags. They exist for a reason. Your instincts are a radar. They detect patterns before your conscious mind does, giving you a valuable advantage in understanding who's truly invested. Step 6. Focus on reciprocal relationships. Once you recognize a pretender, shift your focus to the people who actually care. Invest in relationships where effort is mutual, interest is consistent, and your thoughts are valued. Notice the difference between someone who remembers details, follows through, and makes space for you versus someone who doesn't. Energy flows where attention goes. Spend yours on relationships that return it. This isn't just about cutting people off. It's about prioritizing connections that nurture and energize you. Step 7. Accept and move on. Finally, accept that not everyone in your life will be real. Pretenders exist, and that's okay. Don't become bitter or cynical. Accept the reality and let it guide your choices. Recognize their limitations without needing to explain, justify, or fix them. Sometimes the healthiest move is to gradually distance yourself and create space for genuine connections. The goal isn't revenge or drama, it's clarity, self-respect, and making room for people who actually value and invest in you. Remember, dealing with pretenders isn't about being suspicious of everyone. It's about seeing clearly, protecting your energy, and building relationships that are real, balanced, and fulfilling.